Hi, so today is the 13th of March 2026. This is the third video of my project DEW02, and in this video I'm going to review something which some people struggle with: how to configure the NEOMUTT email client to download and basically to use your free Gmail account. We are going to do configuration of NEOMUTT and Gmail. You're watching SkateCode, I'm StrayF, and this video assumes that you have already seen my previous video about the project DEW02, and today we will continue. So basically the problem is the OAUTH2 authentication protocol. So what is this? So in the past we've used simple usernames and passwords to authenticate everywhere, and that was fine. However, it was vulnerable to attacks. So the corporations started to think, what can we do to invent something a little bit more secure? They came up with the app passwords, which is fine. But these app passwords have been recently phased out. So what is the app password? In fact, what was it? So that was a method to give certain application access to certain resource. What you have to understand is that for Google, your NEOMUTT client is an application, which is a third-party application, and your Gmail mailbox is a resource. So Google doesn't want to give access to this resource, and you actually want to give that access. So the way to permit this is to tell explicitly Google that you want this application to have access and authorize it. And however, how to do this? In the past, you would have to configure NEOMUTT to use username and password, but this would have been your actual Gmail username and password, which is a security concern. So this is why the app passwords have been invented in the first place. So in the past, you would give NEOMUTT your app password, and this is how NEOMUTT would access Gmail and pull out your emails. Your actual username and password for Gmail would not be revealed. But this is no longer the case, because recently, just like 2-3 months ago, Google outphased the app passwords. So currently the only way to access Google Gmail is OAuth2 authentication. This is basically just a little bit more complicated way to access the Gmail. And as I said, this has been invented so the external applications, the third-party applications like NEOMUTT, would not have access to your actual Google username and password. They would have they would be given authorization, explicit authorization, and a token, which is basically an encrypted string, which you would give to the application to access Gmail. Now, this is oversimplification of the whole thing. Basically, what is happening is a little bit more complicated, but not that much of a big deal. By the way, Google is not the only provider, let's call it resource provider more generically, who currently supports only OAuth2. The same is valid for the Microsoft accounts. So if you have hotmail.com or live.com or outlook.com free email, you would have the same problem. You have to do OAuth2 setup in order for NEOMUTT to work. Oh, and very important, the code which I created would actually support Microsoft account as well. So I'm going to show you how to set up NEOMUTT with Gmail, and I'm going to do live demonstration of this setup. However, if you have a free Microsoft account, as I said, either hotmail.com, live.com or outlook.com, it would work as well. In fact, it should work as well, because my code supports it, but I've never tested it. And I'm going to give huge disclaimer here why I never tested Microsoft setup. Because when you set up Azure, when you actually create an Azure account, one thing which Microsoft wants from you is credit card details. And I'm creating test account. So I don't want to give at this point Microsoft access to my credit card. And they want it. So I decided not to test with Microsoft setup. However, when you have Gmail and you are dealing with Google Cloud platform, nobody asks you for credit card account, like credit card details, up to the point when you want to publish your application. I'm going to discuss this a little bit later in this video. So as long as you don't publish your application, nobody will ask you, Google will not ask you for credit card details. This is important distinction. As far as Yahoo Mail concerned, so I never made this setup to work with Yahoo Mail accounts. So I'm sorry about that. Only Gmail and Microsoft accounts are supported at this point. But in Yahoo you have to do OAUTH2 setup as well. Okay, this is enough. Now, should I tell you all the details, or should we go hands-on and just do the setup? Maybe it's better to do the setup. Most of you would not be interested in how exactly OAUTH2 works anyway, so while I was prepared to actually explain you that, it's maybe better to save some time. What's our time? Oh, I forgot the clock. Sorry. So let's go do the setup. First things first, you can go to the instructions. So last time I showed the HTML pages which are available when you install Project DEW, and there is huge page here, long page, which gives some instructions, and there is also instructions in the README file. So at the bottom there is setup of Gmail, Outlook, blah blah blah. So you can basically start here. This is the first place that we have to start with. Let me actually close my Google Cloud Platform and console, and let's open new one. So console.cloud.google.com. This is the place. And since I have multiple accounts, we need to switch to our test account. So first of all, let me show you what my actual Gmail looks like. Okay, so this is an actual Gmail account that I created specifically for this project. In the last video I already showed you this, how it looks like when you look at it from NEOMUTT. So today we are going to do setup of this with NEOMUTT. Let me put the microphone down and let's go hands-on. So you already have seen how the email looks like. Let's go to the actual platform. So this is Google Cloud Platform, the console for the Google Cloud Platform, and let's follow the instructions. So first thing is here. We have to create new project. And let's click here, new project. Now you will not have these projects here. These are my test projects. And also guys, I'm not going to hide some details here, but I really don't care, because after I finish this video I'm going to delete this entire account. So let's click new project and let's give this project a name. You're not required to give organization. Let's just click create. Okay, we are getting notification, which we don't need. Basically, it's created. The second thing that we need to do is select our newly created project, because it will not be automatically selected for us. So we go to DEW02 and click it, and now it tells us that DEW02 is selected, and we can see it here. So the next thing, we go here in the search bar. I'll start from scratch. Just type APIs and the first result will be APIs and services. Let's click it. Now there are two APIs which we need to enable. Let's click Enable APIs. This brings us to the library of the APIs. The first API we'll be looking for is the Gmail API. And let's click it. And we need to enable it. So let's click Enable. Good. Now let's go again to the APIs. You can go straight to the library, yes, and the second API that we want to enable is the People API. Google People API. What is this? So let's enable it and I will explain. The Gmail API will allow NEOMUTT to access our Gmail emails. It will allow to read the emails from Gmail and also to send emails from Gmail. The People API will enable Project DEW to pull the Google Contacts. So if you don't care about Google Contacts, you may not enable it if you want. However, better enable it if you don't want. I am going to use this, like my code is using this only in read-only mode. So I will never make an attempt to delete or modify one of your Google Contacts. The only thing which my code will do is just download your Google Contacts and upload them to a book, the contact book which NEOMUTT uses. So you already have enabled the two APIs. Now we need to set up the OAuth consent screen. Okay. Here we are creating a new app. So let's call it NEOMUTT+GMAIL. By the way, I'm typing capital K's only to distinguish what is a label that I gave versus what is a label which was assigned automatically by the Google Cloud Platform, but this is not case sensitive as far as I know. Now, Google Support Email, very important. Everywhere when you see an email box, you have to put your Gmail account email. This is very important. Let's click next. Now here, audience, click external and click next. Contact information. We are going to type our Gmail email address. Click next. Yes, that's correct. And here we need to agree. So you would have to click agree or authorize in lots of places here. This is because the Google platform wants to make sure that you're an actual person. I struggled a lot to understand why I cannot automate this, because I wanted to automate it. I've spent lots of time trying to find a way to automate it, and in the end I realized that it cannot be automated for a purpose, by design. And the design of the whole thing was to prevent somebody to create a script to create 1000 free Gmail accounts which could be used later to spam or scam somebody else. So this is why Google wants to make sure that on every step there is actually a human making it. So now let's click create. Good. Next step, let's click here, create OAuth client. Application type should be desktop. And name these names honestly are not important. You're going to see why. Okay, now this right here is important. Copy this and put it somewhere. So I'm going to temporarily put it in a simple text editor. This is my client ID, and later we would be given a client secret. So now we have the ID, and let's see what we have missed. Now, very important thing which I'm going to show you, never try to publish the app, never, because the moment that you click the publish button, Google will start asking for money from you. So as far as everything stays on testing phase, Google will never ask you for money. So what I have missed? Scopes, this is very important. Scopes, let me see where I put the scopes. So maybe it's in the README, let's see. That is correct. These are the scopes that you have to put. So one is gmail.com. I have to edit the README, so these would be on separate lines. I would do this after I finish the video. So okay, go. Add or remove scopes. Let's click this. Go to the bottom, and here there is a text box. Just paste this. Add to table. Let's click it. Let's copy paste the next scope. And the third scope. I'm going to explain now what is this. So add to table and let's update. Scopes determine what access we are giving to NEOMUTT. So in this case I put 3 scopes. It's very important to understand what are these scopes. So the first scope is mail.google.com. So we are giving access to our Gmail emails. The second scope is contacts.read-only. So we are giving access to our Google contacts, but only to read them. If the application will try to modify or delete an existing contacts or create a new contact, this would not be possible. The third scope is contacts.other.read-only. Other contacts are contacts which Gmail will automatically add when we receive an email from somebody which is not in our contact list. And again, these are read-only, which means that if the application, which is my code in this context, will try to delete or modify an existing contact or create new one, this would not be possible. So very important to remember, the contacts will be used strictly in read-line only mode. Okay, let's go back to the platform. What have we missed? So yes, we have this. Yes, this is the button you should not push. So usually when you say to somebody this is the button you should not push and they go and push it, don't push this button. Don't push the publish app button. This is important. Test users. So in audience test users we need to put our email. Let's click add users and type our email. Let's click save, and again I said again, yes, this is very important. If you don't have test user here, the setup will not work. So make sure that you do your setup exactly as I did mine right here. Otherwise, the whole thing will not work. All right, let's check again if everything is here. Well, it looks fine to me, except we don't have a very important part of the whole thing. We don't have the client secret. So let's see why we don't have the client secret. Let's click here and check. So we have the client ID. Oh, we have the client secret. Okay, this is the client secret. So client secrets, this is where we got it. Client, and in additional information, you scroll down and you click secret. So basically this is everything that we need. I'm clicking save. It's very important that you have these two things right here, otherwise the whole thing will not work. Well, this is everything that you need. Let's double check with my notes. Is there everything else? Yeah. Never give your client ID and client secret to anybody. Never give this to anybody. Good. We're good to go. Now, one little thing. Unfortunately, this is the only step when we need to actually SSH to our virtual machine and use modern browser in the whole thing, because the Google OAuth2 authorization requires a modern browser. We cannot do it without a modern browser, unfortunately. I really wanted to be able to do everything programmatically and automated, but unfortunately this is not possible. First of all, Google requires that there is a human somewhere out there providing a manual authorization. That's one thing. The second thing is there is no modern browser for the Linux terminal in 2026. So what to do? I created a help script here, which is called my IP. This will give me the IP of the virtual machine. Let's log in to the virtual machine. Good. Now the only thing that we need to do is let's remind you about the help of the make file that I created. So we need to basically do make Gmail. That's everything we need to do. The rest will be carried out by the installer. There is few prompts that we need to type manually. Everything else would be completely automated. Okay, name. Full email address. Let's type the sudo password. And let's proceed. Okay, MSMTP is asking us about AppArmor. So what is AppArmor? AppArmor is an application which is trying to supervise other applications. So it makes sure that an application which is set to have access to, for example, resource A cannot have access to resource B even if they ask for it. Here type yes. This is oversimplification, but honestly, if you want to see what is AppArmor, Google it. I will not explain right now. The thing is, I made the whole thing with AppArmor support, so you can enable it. Now here we need to choose passphrase. We will select something which is very sophisticated and hacker proof. you can go to the next line with tab. And let's click OK. Now, of course, I chose very hacker-proof, super duper sophisticated password, and it's asking me, do I really want this one? So this is why I'm going to say, take this one anyway. All right, now we are at the step when we need to input the client ID and the client secret. Very important, the client's secret will not be visible. You cannot see it, but it's there, trust me. Just type enter. Okay, now, very important, we need to copy this whole URL and paste it into a modern browser. This is the step which requires the modern browser. And basically, you can do it from the terminal. I mean, you can try, but you are going to need a modern browser. Now, you need to select your Gmail account here. So I'm going to select my test Gmail account. Okay, now it's warning us that we are going to give access to selected resources, so we click continue, because this application is not yet verified. And now it's telling us which resources the application asks for access to. This is the Gmail emails and the Google Contacts. We are going to select all and click continue. Make sure you trust NEOMUTT email, but yes, we trust it. Now, you see this is failing, but this is totally okay. What we need to do is just copy this URL and paste it into the script. It's totally fine to fail. This is what's expected to do, so don't think that anything is not working. I could do one step further to automate this. However, the reason why I didn't is that I had to code just few steps more, which is totally not complicated, but I wanted to keep the script with minimum dependencies. So this is why I left intentionally this step to be manual. Now, after pasting the URL here, you have to press enter. And this is done. Your setup is done. And now, to see if everything is working, we need to initialize our mailbox. So if you read the instructions, you see that to initialize the mailbox, we have to run this shell script. So let's run it. Again, we have to input our super duper sophisticated hacker-proof password. And as we see, it's working. We authorized Gmail properly. We gave authorization to NEOMUTT, and this application right now, I mean this script, is pulling our emails out of Gmail. Now, this step might take longer time on your machine if you have lots of Gmail emails. But in my case, it's not that much. I have a test account, as you can see here. So these are all of my emails. And this is exactly what's happening here. This script is downloading my emails. So this script basically runs two main tools. One is MMSMTP and the other is offline IMAP. It's MSMTP. MSMTP is sending the outgoing emails. Offline IMAP is pulling the inbound mail. So right now you're seeing offline IMAP doing his job. Oh yeah, you have no idea how much time it took me to create this setup. So you are lucky to get it ready-made out of the box and tested. So yes, I forgot to launch the clock at the very beginning, but still, you are 30 minutes for sure. Also keep in mind that my internet is not fast today. So this is something else why it's a little bit slow. When this script finish, what I'm going to show you is that make Gmail not just did our setup, but it also installed everything. So right now NEOMUTT was installed, offline IMAP was installed, MSMTP was installed, and aBook was installed, and I think one or two more packages were installed too, which are needed for NEOMUTT. And NEOMUTT was pre-configured to work with Vim, so you have the spell checking power of Vim at your disposal. There is only one thing which was not configured here. So the standard NEOMUTT configuration, which most people would do today, would be NEOMUTT as the email client. Not much as the speed up utility, because not much will speed up your NEOMUTT significantly. aBook would be the Google Contacts, or at least your contact book, and I think one more utility was there which they used. So the only thing which is not installed in this configuration is not much, and I will explain why. So I tried not much, and I liked it, but not much, because it's not what I want. It's super duper fast, but it's not what I want, because I want to see my Gmail mailboxes. And I know that Not much could be configured to show your actual Gmail mailboxes, but again, I don't like the setup with not much. However, right now everything is here except our Google Contacts. So if you type a book, you will see that your contacts are not here. Actually, let's go to the virtual machine. So if you type a book, you will see that your contacts are not here. How to get the contacts? Pull Google Contacts. This is a script that I wrote with a little Python utility. Now we can verify that our Google Contacts are here. Since this is a test account, I put only 3 test sample contacts. And we can launch NEOMUTT and we can see everything available here. So I already created color configuration for NEOMUTT and some shortcuts. So on the left, right here in cyan, is the currently selected mailbox. We can move between the boxes as shown here. So shortcut keys. Yeah, NEOMUTT. Shortcut keys. The comma and the dot will move next or previous mail folder. And yellow emails, I think these indicated new email. The white emails would indicate an old email, but still unread email. The gray emails, like this one, would indicate old email and read email. So this is something that I've already read. This same email exactly here is something old but not read. So let's read it. It will turn to gray. You see? And also we have the flags. So where do we have attachments? I think I showed you in the previous email. Yes. So these are attachments. Email with attachment. I guess the plus indicates attachment, I'm not sure. So when we go to the email, we type V and we can check the attachment. And most of you will not set confirmation when exiting NEOMUTT, but I put one. Basically that's it. Working email NEOMUTT configuration. And I can show that everything works because let's write a new email. Let's use the contact from our Google Contacts. Let's send it and receive it. So M, new email. Control T to use Google Contacts. Let's choose this one, which is basically just send an email to ourselves. Type enter. Subject. Actually, let's do a mistake. Let's press 1 to enable the spell checker. We see there is one word which is selected. So it is square bracket S to go to the word and Z equals to get the suggestions, in this case number 2. Well, let's type 2, enter, the word is corrected. Okay, let's send the email, semicolon Q, WQ. Okay, now do we want attachments? Let's attach something. I forgot how to attach actually. Let's see how to attach something. I think it was here. What was the way to attach? Yes, attach file, A. Let's press A and let's type question mark. And where are we? So this is project due directory structure, and I know that in sample media we have files, so let's go there. Sample media, yes, and let's choose the spreadsheet. Okay, an Excel file. Okay, now we have an email with an Excel file as an attachment. Let's press Y to send it. Now on the bottom of the screen it says mail sent, which is actually in the mail is placed in the outbound folder ready to be sent. To send it, we exit here and we run sync mail. Now, if you have watched my previous video, you know why I made it this way. This is totally offline email setup, because this is how I want it. If you want it different, go and change it. The code is publicly available, but I want it this way. If you want, you can put this script to be run by a cron job. It would still be partially automated. Another reason why I don't want to send the email immediately is because this way I will receive emails immediately, and this is a kind of a distraction when I'm doing something. So I wanted minimal distractions also. So let's type enter. First thing, you're going to see sending of the outbound mail. We just wrote one email, so you're going to see one email being sent. This is exactly what's this. One email was sent successfully. Now downloading of the new mail, but there is no new mail. Sorry, there is one new mail. So you're going to see download of one email, which is exactly this. And it's being sent to the appropriate mail folder. And now, if we run NEOMUTT, we can see it, the very first mail. So my setup of NEOMUTT is that the new mail will be on top. So as you can see, this is our new email, demo email of Gmail setup 001. Let's open it. And also it's showing us attachment. I can show you in Gmail. Here is the actual email with the attachment. So as you can see, the setup works. One thing I've never checked is exactly what's going on when we are sending an email. Would it be placed in the sent folder? Yes. So we have exact copy of our Gmail folders in NEOMUTT. And this is exactly what I wanted. And this is exactly why I like not much, but not much. And I tried it and then I removed it. I like it the way it is right now. So again, if you don't like it, go and change the code. It's publicly available. But here is a proof. My setup works and we have working setup of Gmail, NEOMUTT and Google Contacts in 2026 with OAUTH2 authorization. So thank you for watching. I know that I showed you something very useful. I know that many people would come to this video just to see how I'm going to do it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumb up and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow it up a little bit. Now somebody might ask me exactly how I did the whole thing. So I've spent lots of time trying to do this. And it took me really lots of time for two reasons. Reason number one being I've never been exposed to Google Cloud Platform. Reason number two being I've never been exposed to OAUTH2 authorization. I had no idea what is this and how to do it. Reason number three, my Python skills were a little bit rusty. Reason number four, I never did setup of NEOMUTT. And reason number five, so I have some Azure exposure from before, but never did setup of OAuth2 for the free Microsoft account emails. And I want you to understand that this script right here, which is make Gmail, I still call it Gmail. I still call it Gmail because this is how I started and it's short and I kept it. I wanted to keep it short, but this will actually try to do not just Gmail but also Hotmail, Outlook or Live.com configuration if you have such a thing. However, the Azure configuration is something that you have to do manually. Either way, if you're going to try to set up Microsoft account, the whole setup is looking nearly identical. What you need to do in Azure is to create an application. Just in GCP for Google, you're going to be in the role of a developer. In Azure for Microsoft, you're going to have the role of a tenant. And I know that it distinguishes between free or corporate, something like that, like corporate tenants and like corporate accounts and private accounts. And you are going to need to expose the APIs, at least the API for the mail. Keep in mind that you're going to set up scope for contacts only for Gmail. So for Microsoft, I intentionally do not do this. So you're going to set up only exposure and request access to the mail setup. And then you're going to have manual authorization step, and you're going to have something like client ID and client secret, which you're going to input to my script, and the rest will be carried out. So I made my code to support Microsoft, but again, as I said, it's never tested. In the end, I got so fed up with this whole OAuth2 Google and corporate crap that I decided, okay, I just don't have the energy to test anymore, despite that I lost time to code it, but I just don't have the energy to test it anymore. And when I still tried actually, but when I saw the Microsoft requiring me to input credit card details, and I said, okay, that's enough. This is enough. So I stopped there, but the code is supporting it. So as long as you create Azure configuration and setup and get the client ID and client secret, you're good to go. This code will actually set up it for you. One thing to remind you, this setup will create only one single account setup. It doesn't matter if it's Gmail or Microsoft, it's gonna be only one account. This was my use case. So I know that NEOMUTT could be configured to support multiple email accounts, but my setup, specifically my configuration script, is going to set it up with only one email account. So excuse me about this, but again, if you want something additional, the code is here, you're free to modify it. And yes, basically that's it. You saw demonstration that Gmail setup works, Google Contacts setup works. Basically it is here, and it's 2026, so I think you should be fine. There are other tools that you can use, by the way. So there is Mutt Wizard. There are a few other tools which would help you configure NEOMUTT. I tried using some of them, but they didn't work out for me. So again, to remind you, this is Debian 13. On another distro, these tools might have more recent versions, but for some reason, when I tried to use these tools on Debian 13, they didn't work out. Some were not available, some were available, but threw me errors. And when I saw the errors and I got fed up of losing time trying to use somebody else's tool which gives me errors, so in the end I was like, okay, the hell with everything, I'm going to do everything myself. And in the very first week I was actually doing it hardcore by using CURL. This is exactly how I did my first NEOMUTT setup. And it's the same thing, just slower, because I had to do lots of things manually. Copy paste, run commands, copy paste again. So in the end I decided to code my own configuration script, the one that you just saw working, and do everything myself. Experimented with not much configuration, experimented with able configuration, and this is the end result that you're seeing. Working NEOMUTT setup. Did cover configuration too, and yeah, so to be honest, I'm very tired, but I am happy with what I created. Working NEOMUTT configuration with Gmail in 2026. Here you go. So if this configuration is fine for your needs, you're free to use it. Again, for those of you who are new to my project, this is the URL for my project due, which is github.com/stray-feral/dual-linux. But again, if this is the first video for my dual Linux project that you're seeing, please watch at least the previous video to understand what is this about and why I made it work the way I made it work. What was the idea of the design to assemble it the way I did it. I'm going to finish this video now because I'm tired. Maybe you hear my voice is tired. It's almost 10 p.m. by the way, and I want to relax, play a game maybe. So thanks for watching. I know that I've showed you something useful. Hope that you're going to give me a thumbs up. Please do, and subscribe to my channel. And you're free to leave me a comment in the command line subreddit. I'm going to post this video there. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.